Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and of course, continuing on reviewing the Marvel films. Guys, now we finally have come up to this one Marvel film that, yeah, who'd have thought how great this would turn out to be? And technically, this one piece of a Marvel film, would be the beginning slash the start of Sony slash Columbia Pictures, their own Marvel universe, starting with this. Now, I remember when first hearing about this, and I was already familiar with this one anti-Marvel character, and how this was not the first time that we've seen him in live action. Someone that comes straight from, the characters of Spider-Man, yes. And technically, yeah, because this Sony slash Columbia Pictures, their very own Marvel universe, centering on characters straight from Spider-Man. Yes, and this being the first one. Yep, that's right, guys. Finally, at long last, I'm reviewing from 2018, Venom. Yes, Venom. And I'm not reviewing Venom alone. Nope, because, yeah, you read the title some more, and you know who's joining me for this. And this time, him joining me, reviewing something Marvel, but it's not something X-Men. That's right, guys. Joining me reviewing Venom is one of my good friends, Anchorman. It's good to have you for this one.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So, yeah. Venom, because, again, who'd have thought that this would be really good? Because, having a comic book, a movie adaptation from the comic books, centering on an anti-hero, because that's kind of never been done before. Like, it was actually, because at one point, something like that was going to happen with Magneto, because remember the whole thing of when, 20th Century Fox was going to do a new series of X-Men movies called X-Men Origins, and there were plans to do one on Magneto, but unfortunately it never came to be, and it was reworked slash rewritten, and it would become X-Men First Class. But fast forward, we would get something from the world of Marvel where we have a movie centering on an anti-character. And Magneto, yeah, he's technically an anti-character. I mean, and wouldn't you say so, Anchorman?
He's more a villain, but right now I'd say maybe you could say he's anti-hero. Yeah,
a kind of. That sounds about right, kind of. So, not fully, but yeah. So fast forward, as I said, we would get a comic book movie straight from Marvel where it centers and focuses on an anti-hero, which of course being Venom. And it wouldn't be until a year later we would get a comic book movie straight from DC where a villain is the main focus and center, which of course being Joker. So with Venom, so the first things I have to say about Venom, well, because now that I finally have watched it, that's right guys, you heard me loud and clear, because I finally got to watch Venom. I don't know why, because I don't know why it took me this long to watch it. I mean, I've said this before, and you guys would know this, movies that you would never get around to, that whole thing, but now Venom is finally one of those movies that I've finally gotten around to watching. You happy, Mom? You can relax now. The many times that you've humorly begged me to watch Venom, I finally have, so you're welcome. So yeah, now that I've seen Venom, well, it didn't disappoint for me. I quite enjoyed Venom. It is a great, Marvel film, not straight from the MCU, but, a Marvel movie outside of the MCU. And, of course, this coming straight from Sony/Columbia Pictures in their very own Marvel universe. Like I said, because Venom is the start/the beginning of their own Marvel universe. Because what the first Venom had in store, what it had to offer with its storytelling and with the characters, its casting, the action and the funny moments and emotional moments, everything in the first Venom film was fantastic. And like I said, because when I first heard about this, I was looking forward to it, and hearing who was cast in this movie, most notably who plays the title character. And the title character basically possessing the body, And I also remember this, and I'm sure you guys would remember this too, if any of you heard about this. For a little while, it was rumored that Tom Holland was to make an appearance in the first Venom film as, Peter Parker/Spider-Man. But that, of course, turned out to be false, and, but at least, in the Venom sequel, we technically did get him, but that's another story. So, and, I'll go ahead and mention him, Tom Hardy, because Tom Hardy, who plays the title character, not just the title character, but the human who is possessed by whom it is, which of course being Venom, he was fantastic. It was a perfect casting. And fun fact, because one of the main reasons Tom Hardy found himself in this movie and playing the titled character Venom, but also the other character that sticks alongside with Venom, Eddie. It's thanks to Tom Hardy's son, because Tom Hardy's son, being a huge fan of the Venom character, and, because Tom Hardy doing this movie, and, for his son to see one of his favorite characters from the Spider-Man comics being played by his daddy. So, yeah. And by the way, because Tom Hardy, he's no stranger to doing a comic book movie, because I think we all should remember that he was Bane in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises, the third and final Batman film in Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. And you know what? He was good as Bane, and nice to see that he went from Bane to this, playing a full-time villain to playing an anti-hero. But this time, playing an anti-hero in the world of Marvel. So, So, again, in closing on the first things I have to say about Venom, it's good. It's really good, and again, it did not disappoint. Okay, now come to you, Anchorman. What are the first things you have to say about Venom?
I think this is a solid action movie with Venom, and I think Tom Hardy is great as Venom. I just like his dynamic between the Venom symbiote and his human self. Mm-hmm. And I think this sets up a Venom universe all right so far.
As I literally I don't mean to cut you off, but as I literally explained, this being the first installment in Sony/Columbia Pictures' very own Marvel universe, not just Venom, but other characters that come from Spider-Man.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed Venom as a character, I don't know, in the cartoons and stuff. But I think the way Venom looks is great, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. And I didn't talk about this that much, but because like I said, this isn't the first time that we've seen Venom, and that also goes for Eddie, because we did see them in live action in the third and final installment in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. What did you think on Eddie and Venom's appearance in Spider-Man 3?
I think he's okay. I think they kind of rushed Venom in that movie. But, he does look terrifying, though.
He was. Absolutely, he was. They
developed him better.
Yeah, you're right on that. And hey, at least they didn't disappoint bringing Venom on screen and making him terrifying.
Yeah, at least it did give us the Black Suit Spider-Man, though.
Yeah. And the thing is how we only get Venom in Spider-Man 3 for a whole 10 minutes. So, I mean, aside from Eddie, so just on Venom. And best said by Nostalgia Critic, because yeah, it's true. For about 10 minutes, that's how many minutes we get of just Venom. So, you know, with the eyes, with the teeth, and yeah, because most of the time when like possessing Parker or Eddie. So, anyways, I think you get my point. All right, so with that being said, as always, read the description / the story. Journalist Eddie Brock is trying to take down Carlton Drake, the notorious and brilliant founder of the Life Foundation, while investigating one of Drake's experiments. Eddie's body merges with the alien Venom, leaving him with the superhuman strength and power, twisted, dark, and fueled by rage. Venom tries to control the new and dangerous abilities that Eddie finds so intoxicating. Okay, so getting into Venom itself, because yeah, taking place in San Francisco. However, because like the opening to it, like you know, a rocket coming from space and crashing down to Earth, and yeah, and apparently like the rocket brought back something. Do you have anything to say on that, Anchorman?
It's kind of like Venom's origin, and like this reminds me of like in the Spider-Man animated series where the symbiote came on a rocket, and that's how it came to Earth. That's what it reminds me of.
Yep, and one of those symbios, I think. Yeah, that's the right way to say it, right? Symbio.
Yes.
Making sure, yeah, thank you. So it's one of the symbios, because there's more than just one, basically possessing this one astronaut who is alive, apparently, and then being taken to a hospital, and then basically the symbio controlling the astronaut basically causes a wreck with the ambulance vehicle, and then possessing one of the, nurses, whatever, you know, that work on the ambulance vehicle, and basically takes a long walk, and I think, yeah, traveling to China, I assume, well, because, yeah, coming to San Francisco, which, yeah, I mean, San Francisco being no stranger with anything Marvel, because, like, well, there was X-Men The Last Stand, the most notable part where Magneto breaks off the Golden Gate Bridge, and you have Ant-Man and the Wasp, and so on, so, yeah. So in San Francisco, because we have our introductions of our main human characters, Eddie Brock being played by Tom Hardy, and Annie Wayan, if I think I'm saying her last name right, being played by Michelle Williams. So they're basically an engaged couple, and they basically work at this news station, whatever, and Eddie Brock has his own, like, news show, and basically he's supposed to have an interview with the guy that runs the Life Foundation in San Francisco, Carlton Drake, being played by Riz Ahmed, and right away, and even what Eddie Brock says to his boss, yeah, Louis Donnet, I'm saying the last name right, being played by Malcolm C. Murray. He tells his boss, Louis, about, you know, what a horrible man Carlton Drake is. And we, of course, soon find out later that, well, Eddie was pretty much right, despite the fact that no one believes him on what he has to say on Carlton Drake. And basically, Eddie was going to, you know, not follow, like, the plans on what, you know, he was going to interview Carlton Drake about, because a lot of things about the Life Foundation building and such, being where it was built and all that, so, but then, yeah, so coming to the Life Foundation building, and Eddie Brock, you know, about to do his interview with Carlton Drake, and it doesn't take that long, and, you know, should have seen it coming, because Eddie's blowing it and risking blowing off his job and so on by asking Carlton and Drake inappropriate questions, and, you know, and so on. And, yeah, it gets really out of hand. And after this, well, because his boss unfortunately fires him, as, you know, because as he says, he cannot trust him anymore. And if that doesn't make anything worse, this also got his fiancé fired as well, because they work in the same building. So she got fired too, and she basically flat out dumped him. Like, if that doesn't make anything worse, jeez. Yeah, and just like taking off the engagement ring and just, yeah, poor Eddie. I mean, he basically was doing the right thing. I mean, even though his ex-fiance and his ex-boss, they didn't believe what he was saying on Carlton Drake, but he was right. He would be right later on, and they would realize at the end. But for now, because poor Eddie, he's now broke. He lost his now ex-fiancé. But back at the Life Foundation, because the specimens that, you know, come in, and what was brought from outer space and brought to Carlton Drake, and basically, like, experimenting on them with, you know, tests, like, with animals and stuff like that. And one of the doctors that works at the Life Foundation, two of them, one of the main ones, Dr. Dora Skirth, being played by Jenny Slate. I know Jenny Slate, and by the way, because she would be in something else comic book movie related on the side of DC. She would be the voice of Harley Quinn in the Lego Batman movie. So yeah, that's a fact. So she plays Dr. Dora Skirth. She's not really sure about this, and especially how she feels towards her boss. And also the other doctor that's a part of the Life Foundation, named Dr. Dan Lewis, being played by Ray Scott. I think I've seen Ray Scott before, pretty sure, in some other movies, but I can't think of it right now. So, yeah, and then apparently, like, 6 months pass by, and still, Eddie Brock is still broke, trying to find jobs, living in a crappy apartment building. Even, like, he made friends with this homeless woman, which that's how she's first credited, homeless woman Maria. Yeah, because we know her name Maria, but that's how she's credited. Homeless woman Maria, being played by Melora Walters. So he is friends with this homeless woman, and just the interactions between Eddie and her, you know, pretty funny and such, and, you know, asking $5 and such, and also having to do with newspapers and so on. And another memorable character that we get in this film, and at times Eddie, like, stopping at that, like, convenience store or whatever, Miss Chen, being played by Peggy Liu. And this happens twice, because the first time, well, Eddie is, like, hiding from this because Miss Chen being threatened at gunpoint, you know, giving him cash and all that, so, yeah, by this crook. And still, because Eddie, you know, still trying to find a job, and because of what happened 6 months ago, and while at the Life Foundation still, because them doing experiments and tests with these, what are they called again? Symbiotes, thank you. Did I say it right, symbiotes?
It's symbiote.
Symbiote. Okay, thank you. So, still, testing out with the symbiotes, but, you know, there's one missing, which they find out later on, and we see, because the one symbiote, who basically ran away, and, you know, possessing this one, you know, female that was in the ambulance vehicle, traveling to, was it China that the symbiote traveled to?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, because, you know, all hell breaking loose there, and the symbiote possesses another Asian female, and then basically, because, like, the symbiote traveling to the airport and possessing another person, which I should have seen it coming. In fact, okay, yeah, I think I know what's going to be happening. Possessing a little girl. So, and if that would not leave the mother just, like, dramatized and wondering what the heck happened to her little girl. So, yeah. But anyways, okay, let's come to you, Anchorman, because anything you've got to say in what I've talked about so far?
Okay, so I think this is good setup so far for Eddie Brock. Like, he starts off as a reporter, and then he loses his job after trying to out, I think, the business guy. I forgot his name, but like,
Louis Donut? Is that who you're thinking of?
uh,
His boss, his ex-boss, or no. Like, was it Carlton Drake?
yeah, him.
Okay, yeah, him, yeah.
So
The guy that runs the Life Foundation.
yeah, I think it was interesting how he was like exposing him for his fraud, and then I think it's cool how like the symbiote is like possessing people, and then until eventually it gets to like later in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, and to speed things up, because, well, at one point, because, when testing it out on humans, Carlton Drake and his, and the doctors and such, working at the Life Foundation, this time, testing out the symbiotes, am I saying it right? Still? Symbiotes? Symbiotes. Well, symbiote, but there's more symbiotes. So testing out the symbiotes with humans, like humans, like getting the symbiotes on them, and one of the first humans to be experimented on with a symbiote is Isaac, being played by Jarrett Bankins. So he's the first one to be tested on, and just like the words that Carlton Drake has to say to him, and so on, and right before this happens to poor Isaac, and well, the symbiote, getting on to Isaac's body, but unfortunately, it doesn't work, and basically the symbiote kills poor Isaac. But Carlton Drake, he's not stopping. He's not letting that bothering him. And it definitely shows, like, what a cruel guy he is. He doesn't care if the risk of, like, killing a human.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, basically he orders more people who are willing to be experimented and tested on with the symbiotes, but also, at one point, Dr. Dora turns to Eddie, because at one point, Dr. Dora meets with Eddie at the convenience store, etc. Well, she is aware of Eddie and what has gone on with him, and also she tells Eddie that, well, yeah, I think she's technically on his side, because she knows. And she concurs to Eddie, confirms to him, really, that, yeah, he was right all along about her boss, Carlton Drake. He is a bad man. But Eddie, he's not having any of it. He's done. Because after what happened 6 months ago, it really broke him. It hurt him and such. It ruined his life forever. He's done. He doesn't want to hear any more about this. So what happens next is, at one point, Eddie gives Annie a visit, and my bad, because Dr. Dan Lewis, not part of the Life Foundation. He's just a simple, ordinary doctor at a hospital. Yeah, like I said, Dr. Dan Lewis being played by Raid Scott, Annie's new boyfriend, basically. So yeah, this is the first time that Eddie, for about 6 months meets Annie, but also for the first time meets her new boyfriend, which of course being Dr. Dan Lewis. And it's kind of a bit awkward, a little bit, but nothing that bad between Eddie and Annie. So yeah. So after that, because it doesn't take too long for Eddie to realize to just go ahead and come into the Life Foundation and to meet with Dr. Dora. But the thing is, by sneaking into the Life Foundation, that's basically what happens. And even at one point, we did see a little bit early on that Eddie's homeless friend, Maria, was missing, like, she's usually there in the spot that she normally is, but where is she? But at the Life Foundation, when Dr. Dora sneaks in Eddie, because when he's supposed to go in and be tested on with a symbiote, at one point, because he goes into this room where a lot of other humans being experimented and tested on with the symbiotes, one of them is Maria. So already she has a symbiote like in her body and such, and Eddie is trying to break her free, which, the risk of setting off the alarms and breaking the glass, he does so, but unfortunately poor Maria, she doesn't make it, and now the symbiote that was attached to her is now attached to him. And from there on, because, what happens next is him running away, easily taking down the guards that try to get to him, and then a little bit later, because, obviously, Carlton Drake is aware of what happened, but also I think he does find out a little bit, like, what Dora was doing, so, yeah. Okay, coming back to you, Anchorman, like, anything you've got to say where I'm now up to?
Carlton Drake, he's pretty evil. Like, he just does not care about any human life. He views, like, anyone he views as, like, low life, like he views homeless people as just experiments, and
yeah.
I think his cruelness is very, very shown in this movie. And not a lot of people talk about his character, if you really think about it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because I assume, like, in the comic books, there's more to him, so...
Yeah, he's in the comic books, yes.
Obviously. But anything else you have to say? Anything else anything else that I've come up to?
Like, I think once Eddie gets the Venom symbiote in the movie, it becomes completely different. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, of course. So from there on again, because Eddie now having a symbiote, a part of him, and I think as though, I'm not sure, because I feel like this was established in the film. I think Carlton Drake came up with the name symbiote. Did he or did he not? Of what to call those aliens.
He might have. I think so.
Yeah, and I guess those symbiotes that had made it to Earth, like they just go with what they're called. So yeah, they just go with the name of what species they are, alien species that is. So, anyways, so and so still to speed things up, because Eddie now having a symbiote attached to him, and a couple of times at the beginning, because he's hearing a voice in his head, like, hungry and stuff like that, and at one point, because he's starting to not feel good, even when back in his crappy apartment, going for some food, even going for food in the garbage can, which of course this sends him to the toilet, and smart thinking to brush his teeth and such, but that doesn't stop there, because what's inside of him is still hungry, and he's trying to get help from Annie, and also her doctor boyfriend, basically. And I actually saw here's the thing, I've seen clips of this movie before seeing this movie fully, so I remember the one clip that I watched and in the movie, because where in the restaurant, Eddie meeting up with Annie, and I'm saying it right, Annie, or is it Anne?
It's Annie.
Okay, thank you. I mean, there's no I, but still. So meeting up with Annie, and finding Annie and Dan in this restaurant, and just, Eddie, of course he has the symbiote, controlling him and such, just going for food, like, it's a restaurant with lobsters, so yeah, going for some lobsters, even going in the pool of water where the lobsters are, because he feels warm, and that's because of the symbiote. And then eventually, because he is taken to hospital, getting help from Dr. Dan, and it doesn't go that well at first, so... And then, of course, we learn the name of the symbiote, and because there's more interaction between, him and Eddie... Wait, by the way, because it did go well. It did go well at the hospital. He turned out fine, but, but until, Dr. Dan and his co-workers find out more evidence on what's wrong with Eddie, then Dan will reach out to Eddie. So any more symptoms they found and so on, they'll keep him updated. So he's, he seems to do all right, but still, just, with the symbiote inside of him, and again, more interaction that happens, the symbiote talking more to Eddie and revealing his name, which of course being Venom. And, so, and back at the Life Foundation, because, now to bring this up, because, Carlton Drake, he does find out fully, that, because of what Dr. Dora did by bringing in this one person named Eddie, and, of course, he's unhappy with Dr. Dora, and I kind of didn't see this coming, but at the same time, I guess I did. I mean, Dr. Dora seemed like a pretty good character, and how, sadly, towards the end, she was like, redeeming herself and, helping Eddie, and, knowing that, how much of an evil human being that Carlton is. And sadly, because Dr. Dora meets her demise when Carlton Drake unleashes one of the symbiotes on her, and I think, because we would know what happens next. Anything you've got to say, Anchorman, where I've come up to so far?
This is off topic, but once Venom or Eddie goes into the restaurant, I love the scene where he bathes in the lobster tank. I thought that was hilarious.
And anything and anything on Dr. Dora and with what I've had to say?
I kind of saw her death coming, but I'm glad she redeemed herself, since she knew Drake was doing bad things, and I guess she wanted to finally do something about it. And
Yeah, and again, sadly, her meeting her demise, as I just said, but anyway, so much on Dr. Dora, and especially, because her being played by good old Jenny Slate, but anyway, so still, with Eddie, because him still struggling with, a symbiote controlling him, and, but, I mean, eventually, handling it pretty well, and, because now Carlton Drake is now on, Eddie's tail to not kill him, but to bring him in alive and to get the symbiote out of him and so on, because, all that Carlton Drake wants is that one symbiote that is attached to Eddie. And to speed things up, because, a really cool vehicle chase sequence, with a motorcycle and with cars and such, and also some of the other characters in this film, Carlton's henchmen, because, let me see, there's, where was it, and some of the other doctors, since, I'll go ahead and mention them, there's Dr. Collins being played by Soap Alakua, if I'm saying that right, and Dr. Emerson being played by Wayne Perret, and, let me see, because, who was, what's that guy's name that, Carlton's henchman, that's him. He's right up top. How did I not realize? Security Chief Roland Treese. Yeah, because we do get a lot of Treese, and he is played by Scott Hayes. I'm familiar. The name sounds familiar. I might have seen him before. But, and some moments with Eddie and Venom, because, say in his crappy apartment building, because, a next-door neighbor that, basically turns up the speaker when playing his guitar, and, Venom takes care of that by scaring the next-door neighbor to keep it down and so on. Because they know when where to locate Eddie, thanks to poor Dr. Dora. Because Carlton Drake's men, and being led by the security chief, Roland, breaking into his apartment building and, trying to bring in Eddie. But, of course, they don't stand a chance between Eddie and specifically Venom. Because, Venom basically giving them what for and escaping out of there and, jumping out of the window and, getting on a motorcycle. And, again, that vehicle chase sequence, Eddie's on a bike. And, and it's mostly Venom that's doing the bike driving, driving the bike and making those huge jumps and getting away from, Carlton's men. And, yeah. So, anything you've got to say on that? Okay, where I've come up to so far, like, anything you've got to say, Anchorman?
I love the scene where, he, takes down that squad team and the Venom symbiote, and the motorcycle chase is super epic.
Mm-hmm.
I like how, he, bounces up, and then, the Venom symbiote, attaches it back to the motorcycle.
Yeah.
That was super neat to look at.
Absolutely. And, this is twice that we've seen, a vehicle chase sequence in a Marvel film, because, yeah, that same year, we would, in Ant-Man and the Wasp, it would have that, too.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's twice, and which, coincidentally, they came out the same year, so, yeah. Anyways, yeah, and it's just funny, because, making the big jumps, and, there's a dead end, but, not a problem for Venom, and, yeah, just making that jump and such. And, well, towards the end of the chase, because this is where we finally and fully see Venom, and just like in the trailer, because, yeah, Venom popping up, and, yeah, basically, scaring Roland and all the others, but of course, they make an escape even when the police show up, and they swim through the ocean, and they're far away, and, Eddie, really wants to know who he is, and, well, because Venom tells him, the purpose of why he's here, and there's more than just him, and what Venom and his fellow symbiotes, am I saying it right still? Symbiotes, is that right?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't know why I should know by now, but you have those moments. But yeah, so yeah, not just Venom, but more symbiotes, and Venom telling him the purpose of him and his fellow symbiotes, what they're doing, they're basically planning to, gobble up, mankind. However, Venom actually has changed his mind, because now he likes this planet and has, grown attached to Eddie. And it's also revealed a little bit later on to Eddie from Venom that Venom, he's just like Eddie, because he's, Venom, where he comes from, he's also a loser. That's how he was treated, just like how Eddie was treated on Earth. So, and so, yeah, later on, because, Annie and Dr. Dan getting back to Eddie, because the more evidence and symptoms that Dr. Dan received on what's wrong with Eddie are severe and not looking good, and, well, they have to find and to bring him in. But for Eddie, he's still on the run, even when, at one point he, and to speed things up, because, trying to get evidence from Carlton Drake and to prove that he's an evil man and such, and to take it to where he used to work, which he does so. But then sure enough, and also because, this one, security guard that he's friends with, the lobby guard Richard, being played by Emilio Rivera, because Eddie's nice that, still being friends, and, because bad luck for Eddie at first, because he can't get this evidence to his old boss. However, instead of just walking into the building, they can jump, in which that's what they do. And also, we find out, because when they get up to the very tippy top of the building, it's a very tall building, and they get up to the very tippy top, because an airplane goes by, and apparently loud noises like the plane bother Venom, and Eddie was this close to dying. However, Venom was all right and caught something onto the building, and then they crashed into the office of his old boss, leaving the information that he wants his old boss to see. Even writing a note, believe me now, you dipshit, or however he wrote it. Dipshit's in the piece of paper that he wrote, and writes an arrow pointing at the evidence that his old boss needs to see about Drake. So, yeah. So still, to speed things up, because then at one point, and I also had seen a clip of this, Yeah, in the building, because where he used to work, coming out of the elevator, because Eddie's not gonna do that again, like jump out of the building and such. No, this time they're taking an elevator, just, and despite Venom just, not liking it, even like calling, I think, Eddie at one point, pussy. So, well, the police force are there to arrest him, but of course, well, they don't stand a chance between Eddie and most notably Venom, so, well, once again, all hell breaks loose and Venom is unleashed and taking care of the policemen and so on, and coming back to Annie, because her desperately trying to find Eddie, and she knows that something's really wrong with him, and even, like, when she comes to where he was currently living, it's blocked off, because the police are there, and because so many bodies and such, yeah. So, her trying to find Eddie, and eventually she does, and she sees, with her very own eyes, Venom. So, and at least she handled it pretty well, a little bit. Even, like, because when Eddie telling her, I'm scared, and so on, and, her saying, hospital, right now. So, and also, she also finds out that Eddie can talk to Venom. So, they take him straight to the hospital, and, well, because, they tried, Dr. Dan trying to help and cure Eddie, but it doesn't go so well. In fact, Venom refuses for anything to happen to Eddie, because I think, what could happen to Eddie could, I guess, technically kill Venom. So, but then at one point, Venom does get unattached with Eddie, and apparently we find out that Venom was going to kill him, I guess, but yeah, so it's kind of like, the relationship is broken between Eddie and Venom, even, Eddie telling him that we're done, so he walks off, but still, Annie is, worried about him, but then, sure enough, Eddie is then captured by Carlton Drake's men and, by the security chief, Roland, well, Venom, because he's stuck in the one part of the hospital where he's locked up, but he found his way through the air vents, and there was one lady in the hospital that Dr. Dan was interacting with, and, she had a little puppy, and the puppy can sense something off with Eddie, and, well, because Venom then gets into the body of the puppy, and Annie looking for Eddie in the hospital, and she comes face to face with the puppy, which being Venom possessing the puppy, and yeah, I think we know what's gonna happen next. Okay, coming back to you, Anchorman, because where I've come up to, anything you've got to say?
Yeah, I love the scenes where once Venom unleashes himself, like at the SWAT team, like I thought that was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this sounds like a nitpick, I'm sorry, but like the scene where like Venom picks up the guy, it was way different in the trailer. I thought they were gonna do that scene where he says "We are Venom," but he doesn't do it until the end. But it's still cool seeing Venom act all intimidating and like the way that he kills people. It's like super over the top. Like he just rips heads off.
Yeah, I almost forgot. I meant to mention that. Yeah, and good thing you brought that up because Venom, how he most of the time kills his victims. Well, I mean the bad people is just by gobbling their heads. That's it. So, and I seem to have forgotten. Was that in the trailer where it was right there and he said, "We are Venom"?
He says it in the trailer, but it looks like he's doing it when he picks up the guy on the street. But then, like later at the end, he does it in like the store scene. But like, sorry if that's a spoiler.
Well, no. I mean, I think everybody by now would know this.
Yeah.
I think. It's definitely one of those things when trailers come out and then what you see in the movies, a couple of tweaks and changes, that were in the trailer but not in the movie. So, yeah. And you know what? Because the line, "We are Venom," because it seemed like, it seemed very fitting to save that line towards the end of the film. So, at that official moment, just, yeah. Okay, so so continuing into still speed things up because, well, Eddie being brought into the Life Foundation, and coming back to the one symbiote who possessed the little girl, and, you know, possessing the little girl, making her way to the Life Foundation, and coming face to face with Carlton Drake, and you knew it was coming. The symbiote, you know, grabs a hold of his neck, and, well, now is in the body of Carlton Drake. And nobody at the Life Foundation even knows that, well, Carlton Drake has one in him, but does reveal himself to Eddie, because, well, he knows that, you know, Eddie has the symbiote, but for right now, he doesn't. So the symbiote is missing, even, you know, asking him where it is, but he doesn't know. And, well, because Carlton Drake, you know, had his men take Eddie to the woods to basically kill him there. And so, yeah, the one symbiote that we had seen early on and possessing a couple of people up until finally possessing and taking over Carlton Drake, which, by the way, Riz Ahmed also voices this symbiote. Riot, yeah, the main symbiote antagonist, the main symbiote villain, Riot. And by the way, because Tom Hardy, I almost forgot to mention this, not only does Tom Hardy play Eddie, but he also is the voice of Venom, and rightfully so. And the same goes for Riz Ahmed, not only playing Carlton Drake, but also voicing the symbiote that takes over Carlton, Riot. Yeah, so, yeah, do you have anything to say on the symbiote villain, Riot?
I think Riot is basically like I don't know, he's like a cool looking version of Venom. Like, they did like their own design from that version of Venom.
Yep, and definitely because Riot is like more scary looking, so.
Yeah, he's more brutal.
And like more like tough and powerful, strong than Venom, so. Definitely, and also because what the symbiotes can do, I mean, they're liquidy and so on, like, they can make the shape of, like, weapons and so even, like, make shields, like, anything on that?
It was cool, like, the way he, like, can turn his entire symbiote fist and, like, giant sharp sword-looking thing.
Yeah.
And he just decapitates all those people's heads, like, it's brutal.
Yeah, but, yeah, since you mentioned it, yeah, because we're not there quite yet, because, yeah, so, again, so with that on Riot, well, because, again, as I said, what goes on in the hospital, well, because, you know it's coming, because Annie face-to-face with that puppy, having Venom in the puppy, and, well, now Venom's gonna go to Annie and to catch up and find, Eddie. So, yeah, in the woods, because, well, Eddie is about to be executed by Carlton's men, and, of course, one of them being the security chief, Roland. And even right before it happens, because, well, and even Eddie can see right behind them that, well, Venom is coming in, now possessing the body of Annie. And, of course, well, Venom easily taking out and killing those security guards. And, of course, Roland, he meets his demise, by biting off his head. And I also saw this clip, too, because after that, well, then, Venom with Annie, kissing Eddie, and that's like his way of getting back into Eddie, and that was his idea, basically. That was Venom's idea to, the whole kissing thing between Eddie and Annie, so, and she's kind of a bit freaked out because Venom was in her, just, gobbled up a head, so, yeah. And, well, now that Venom is back inside of Eddie, it's up to them to, stop this rocket launch, because there's this rocket launch that's about to happen, basically by bringing in more of the symbiotes, because bringing in the rest of the symbiotes, starting an invasion, because Riot is going to be in this rocket, and so on, so, yeah. And Annie, she wants to tag along and help Eddie and Venom, but to Venom, it's going to be too dangerous for her. I like when Venom pops up, and, you know, he has to tell Annie himself, you know, just not a chance or anything like that, and her comment, you know, that's bullshit, because, you know, she wants to join in. Besides, like, you know, she's helped out, so why can't she do more of this? Like, well, because after what happened, like, not just Venom, but Annie just saving Eddie's life. So, yeah. So, Venom and Eddie going up to the rocket launch, and, well, because, you know, the launch will happen soon, and one of the doctors does start to notice and get suspicious. I think, yeah, it's him, Dr. Emrys, as I mentioned, starting to get suspicious that there might be something wrong with Carlton Drake. And like you brought up, Anchorman, and to speed things up, because yeah, should have seen this coming too, because, well, Carlton Drake basically disposing his fellow, like, workers and such, you know, of the company that he runs by killing them and chopping off their heads, technically. But most of them are okay, because they're running for their lives, because we do see Annie, you know, making her way there to that rocket launch base. And for Eddie and Venom, they can see that, you know, Riot, you know, along with Carlton Drake, they're making their way to the rocket to get on board, and, well, the rocket will launch, and they will proceed on bringing in more symbiotes. And there was one moment where, you know, Venom said something very nice to, you know, and touching to Eddie. So, yeah, that's nice to see, because, you know, Venom can have a bit of heart, I guess you could say, and how he feels towards Eddie, yeah. And how he's, by that point, really grown attached to Eddie, and as was explained early on. So, thus, Eddie and Venom proceed on trying to stop and take on Riot, as well as Carlton Drake, and that fight sequence between Venom and Riot, well, obviously that was really cool, and them making the shape and form of weapons and so on, even, like, impaling, I guess, you know, if that's the correct word I'm looking for, impaling Eddie, like, you know, stabbing through his body and chest, and yeah, it's crazy. So, like, I mean, they're losing to Riot at first, but the further they get close to the rocket, and, you know, Riot is trying to get on board, well, sure enough, because, you know, even at one point, Venom and Riot collide with one another, but then loudspeakers go off, and, well, because it upsets them, and they come apart, and, well, it's thanks to Annie, because, you know, a comment that Annie makes, it's pretty funny. And also, there's a quote that's said a couple of times through this movie, "Have a nice life." Yeah, so had to mention that. So, you know, still, the fight going on between Venom and Riot, as well as, you know, Eddie and Carlton, and it seemed like at one point, well, because, like, you know, Venom was definitely losing and this close to being killed, and, well, it's nice to see that, well, because, you know, there was a fight between just Eddie and Carlton, because they're briefly, you know, detached by the symbiotes linked to them, so, you know, fist fight and such, and even it seemed like Eddie, you know, disposed Carlton by knocking him off and he would go falling, but no, because Riot was quick enough to get attached to Carlton, and then Riot impales, you know, stabbing right through Eddie. Jeez, like, that's, like, seriously, they had to do that, but at the same time, we know that there's no way that Eddie is gonna die. They can't do that. Especially because, you know, you have Venom. So they do get in the rocket launches, but sure enough, Venom is alright. He steps in, attaches back to Eddie, and thus they jump on the rocket, and, well, they finish off Riot and Carlton by basically destroying the rocket boosters and such, and causing the rocket to explode, and with it, Riot and Carlton. So both of our main villains are done for, and nice to see. And I think, yeah, because Venom and Eddie saying to them, "Have a nice life," or just whatever, so yeah. And okay, so coming to you, Anchorman, because anything you've got to say where I've come up to now?
So, like, when Eddie gets stabbed by Riot, I thought that was a brutal scene, and I like the idea that this symbiote can actually, like, heal wounds and, I guess, resurrect people. Like, I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing too. You just reminded me because it's a good thing for Eddie because having Venom, because Venom has the capability to wound and heal whoever it is that he's possessing and so on. I mean, a bit similar to like what Wolverine does, because we know that he has the capability of healing, but for Venom, he has the capability of healing someone that he's attached to, and in this case, Eddie. So there's an example for you, kind of. But anyways, and anything else to say? Because like the fighting sequence and the climax and the defeat of our two main villains.
It was like I don't know, the death of Riot was epic. Like the way the rocket explodes, like it was super epic.
Yep, and do you have anything to say on like on Annie's part, that her helping out?
I think she was good help.
Yeah, nice to see.
Remind me how Gwen Stacy helped Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man too.
Yeah, nice.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, nice to see that some of those characters like Gwen Stacy that you mentioned and Annie, they get their heroic moments. I like that sometimes where, yeah, some characters, they don't have superpowers, they're just ordinary people. They would sometimes have their heroic moments, and that's good to see sometimes. So in the end, yeah, because the rocket explodes, and well, because of the explosion, it's burning Venom, but, well, Venom, he wants to keep Eddie alive and for him to survive, so basically Venom, he sacrifices himself to save Eddie by turning himself into a parachute and to block the explosions coming towards Eddie, and, well, it seems like, Venom's done for, so then, well, for Eddie, he lands in the water, and, he's alright in the end, and thus back in San Francisco, where Eddie and Annie live, they're having a bit of a talk, and, the aftermath of what happened, and, she feels sorry for the loss of Venom to Eddie. However, it seems as though that Venom survived, because now Eddie, he hears Venom's voice again, and Annie is slowly but surely, like, thinking that, like, probably, Venom survived, and she's wondering if he's okay, and yeah, I think it comes to her clearly that, yeah, Venom is all right. So, and, well, because once again, Eddie and Annie, they say their goodbyes for now, and, as Eddie walks away, because Venom, he wanted Eddie and Annie to be together, but of course that doesn't happen, sadly. I mean, even for Venom now. And as Eddie is walking off, someone interacts with Eddie, telling him that not to let her go or anything like that. And it's Stan Lee. We get a cameo of Stan Lee in Venom, and sadly, this is like one of the last few cameos that he would have. I mean, there's Captain Marvel, and, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and, Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, that being his very last. Okay, so anything to say on where I'm up to, and especially Stan Lee?
I love the Stan Lee cameo. I thought it was his last cameo until, like, Avengers Endgame. It was so nice to see him.
Yeah, but as I said, like, it's not just Endgame and Venom. Like, as I just said, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah, there was Black Panther as well, because that came out the same year as Venom. Also, yeah, Infinity War, and yeah, so there you go. Anyways, so that was a pretty good cameo, of course, and even Venom, like, he makes a comment, like, who is that? So that's funny. Well, of course, Venom, you don't know it, but that's the father of mostly everything Marvel. So, yeah. Anyways, so all ends well for Eddie and Venom, and, Venom being hungry once again, and this being the official start for Eddie and Venom, and, because where they go to, and the best place that Eddie knows where to get something to eat, well, and because they go to the convenience store where Miss Chen works at, and once again, that crook with, threatening Miss Chen is back, and, well, now is the best opportunity for Venom to take care of this crook, and yeah, of course, Venom threatening him, and by that point, and when the Crook asks him who he is, and yeah, because we get it, we are Venom, because both Eddie and Venom say that, because we see a bit of Eddie's face, like half Eddie's face, half Venom's face. It's really cool, and you think that probably they're gonna let him go, but nope, it doesn't last long. Venom just gobbles him up, by the head, and yeah, and Miss Jen seems to be okay with this. Yeah, a bit startled, but yeah. Like Eddie telling Miss Chen that, having like a parasite or whatever he says. Do you know this? Do you remember what he specifically said by calling Venom?
He just referred to it as a parasite.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we're correct. Yeah, so by calling him that, and Venom is offended by this, and he wants an apology, but you apologize now, and all right, I'm sorry, and yeah, and that's a funny way to end it, and of course we get the credits. However, we technically get two end credit scenes. The last one I didn't really know about, but this one, during the mid credits, yeah, I knew about, because at one point, well, actually, because almost forgot to mention this, Eddie. Apparently, he got his old job back, and once again, doing his very own news show. The evidence, because he successfully, got the evidence to his old boss, and now, because, they know what Carlton Drake was like. So, yeah. So at one point, and in the mid-credit scene, Eddie is brought into the San Quentin prison, and basically he is to interview and, yeah, I think ask questions to this one prisoner who's very dangerous and psychotic, basically. And we get a cameo appearance and who we would see in the next Venom film, Cletus Cassidy, I think I got his full name right, being played by good old Woody Harrelson. So he portrays Cletus Cassidy. Am I saying the full name right?
Cletus Cassidy.
Cletus Cassidy? Okay, yeah. So this is the first time we see him in live action, and for him being played by / betrayed by, Woody Harrelson. So yeah, a bit of a conversation between Cassidy and Eddie, and one of the last lines that we get from Cassidy is, there will be carnage. When he gets out of here, there will be carnage, and what we would see in the first sequel. So yeah, and we of course we realize that, well, this is not the last time we'll be seeing Cassidy, because we know for a fact that, well, he's pretty much going to be the new antagonist in the first Venom sequel, which, of course, yeah, that's what happened. And then apparently, because I'm sure you might have known this too, Anchorman, because the second and last end credit scene after the credits finish is apparently like, I want to say like a 3 or 4 minute clip of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, I saw that when I originally watched it and when I rewatched it yesterday.
Yeah, do you know anything about that? Because what the purpose of it being there?
I didn't really understand why it was in the movie. I honestly just viewed it as like just a teaser to Spider-Verse.
Yeah, and because it kind of reminds me, and I don't know if you knew about this, but it's kind of reminding me, and kind of an example, when me and my dad went to go see The Amazing Spider-Man 2, apparently, because, and my dad knew about this, there was an end credit scene in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It was a sneak peek / clip of X-Men Days of Future Past. It was there, so I remember that very well. So I guess that's kind of an example with what's in Venom, but yeah. But coming back to you, Anchorman, because anything you've got to say about the ending to the film and the end credit scenes?
I do like the Carnage setup. That was cool seeing Carnage. And Venom eating the guy's head, it was I guess an iconic scene. Do you like the line, the turd in the wind? You remember that line he says in the movie?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it was a pretty good line, yeah. Yeah, so it was a nice way and a really awesome way to end the film because, you know, with the two end credit scenes, most notably the tease for what we would see in the next Venom film, and getting, you know, Cassidy as the new main villain slash antagonist, and knowing that he has a symbiote that's inside of him. Which, of course, being Carnage. Yeah, so, and finally getting to see Carnage on the big screen in live action, which, of course, yeah, we would see in the sequel. But yeah, overall, that was an awesome way to end off the first Venom film. So yeah, the first Venom film, just wow. What a great Marvel film this is, centering on a Marvel anti-character, which being Venom. It did not disappoint, and it's great to see that it turned out really good. The story was good, the characters were good too, and the casting, the music, the action, the visual effects, the funny and emotional moments, the intenseful stuff. Yeah, just everything in the first Venom film did not disappoint, and I'm happy that I've finally watched the first Venom film, because yeah, like I said, it did not disappoint for me. For me, it did not disappoint. It's exactly what I expected and what I knew, you know, how everybody else felt on the first Venom film. So yeah, the first Venom film, it was awesome. Again, it did not disappoint for me. Really good. Okay, now coming to you, Anchorman, what are your final thoughts slash results on the first Venom film?
I think it's a solid, good movie starring Venom, and it's nice that they're trying to do their own movie based on the villain, and I really like that design of Venom, and like, I don't know, the Venom character was very cool, and yeah, I like Eddie Brock and the Venom's dynamic. That was easily my favorite part of the movie, and yeah, it was definitely a good rewatch for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how we rate the first Venom film, we'll start with you. How do you rate the first Venom film?
I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, that's good, yeah. And, you know, I think, yeah, I'm on the same level as you, yeah. Me too. For me, I'm giving Venom, yeah, the fingers, yeah. Yeah, okay. 8 out of 10 stars. Yes, for both me and Anchorman, we give the first Venom film 8 out of 10 stars. And what about you guys? What do you think on the first Venom film? Were you excited and hyped when this was first announced, and did it not disappoint for you? Any of you that got to watch the trailers and up until you got to see this, whether if you got to experience this in theaters or until it came out on digital / DVD and Blu-ray, did you get a good kick out of what the first Venom film had to offer / in stored, and with its casting? And if you thought Tom Hardy's betrayal of Eddie Brock / Venom was good, and that goes for everybody else. Yeah, just, and the funny moments, the emotional moments, the action, the visual effects, and how Venom looks on screen. Yeah, just everything about the first Venom film. What did you think? And with what me and Anchorman, both of us, we had to say about the first Venom film, and yeah, what did you think of our review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. We hope you guys enjoyed our review of the first Venom film. More review videos are on the way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and we'll see you guys in the next video / review. And once again, Anchorman, it was great to have you be a part of this, reviewing the first Venom film, and until, you know, the next Marvel film we review.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yep. And, yeah, and say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Yep, he says that for me. Again, thank you very much for watching, take care, and until me and Anchorman review the next 2 Venom films, and obviously the next one we're doing is Venom: Let There Be Carnage. Peace out. We are Venom.